Bonjour à tous et à toutes et bienvenue pour une autre semaine de français. So welcome back everybody, this is week 12. We're starting into a new chapter and hopefully you've got out your pen and paper, you're ready to take some notes because today we're going to be talking about different geographical things, so places and where we're from. So to start off, we've got some learning objectives. So by the end of today's lesson, students will be able to list different countries that they want to travel to, describe countries, states, and cities that they are in, tell where they and others come from, and describe activities that they just did. Okay, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. C'est parti! Ok, on commence par les continents. So as you can probably guess, these are continents. So here we have all of the continents in French. Some of these are a little bit different from what's in the book, but I think they're more accurate in describing what they are. So let's start with the ones that are the same. We have l'Amérique du Nord. So here, north, obviously, in French is Nord. L'Amérique du Sud, obviously, as you've guessed, Sud means south. L'Europe, l'Afrique, l'Asie, and then these last two, l'Océanie. So they describe the whole continent as being Australia, but I think technically that's not the case. The continent is often considered or often referred to as l'Océanie, and then l'Australie is just a country. And then l'Antarctique is also not listed in the book, I believe, but it's worth knowing. Either way, these are all the 7 continents that you've learned in elementary school, but here we have them in French. Un peu plus de détails. On a les pays dans chaque continent. So here we have all of the pays, all of the countries, which is pays en français. So en Amérique du Nord, on a le Canada, les États-Unis, le Mexique, le Québec. So le Québec isn't technically a country, but it's the French-speaking portion of Canada. So I wanted to throw it in there just to give you some French context here. So, ok, ensuite, en Amérique du Sud, on a la Guinée française, le Brésil, la Colombie et l'Argentine. So here, once again, I threw in La Guinée Française because that is the only country in South America where French is one of the official languages. So the others, there are many other countries in South America, but these are just some of the bigger ones. Ensuite, en Europe, on a la France, l'Espagne, l'Italie, la Belgique, la Suisse et l'Angleterre. Et tous ces pays sont en Europe de l'Ouest. So here we've already learned Nord and Sud. Now we have l'Ouest. This means west. So these are all countries that are in Western Europe. Some ones that you may not have gathered that aren't exactly the same in English, we have l'Espagne is Spain, la Belgique, Belgium, la Suisse, Switzerland, et l'Angleterre is England. Ensuite, en Afrique, on a la Tunisie, Tunisia, l'Algérie, Algeria, le Maroc, Morocco, le Sénégal et la Côte d'Ivoire. L'Algérie est en Afrique du Nord et la Côte d'Ivoire est en Afrique de l'Ouest. So again, here we've got some additional regions that we can kind of break down Africa into Northern Africa, Western Africa, etc. En Asie, on a la Chine, China, la Russie, le Vietnam et le Japon. La Russie est en Europe de l'Est. So here we have the fourth cardinal direction. We have Est, which means east. So be careful. We have l'Ouest et l'Est. So those are, they sound kind of similar, but they're actually opposites. Et en Océanie, on a l'Australie, la Nouvelle-Zélande et la Nouvelle-Calédonie. So la Nouvelle-Calédonie is also French territory. Et en Antarctique, il fait froid ici et il neige souvent. So here there aren't really any individual countries in Antarctica, but it's worth noting what the weather is like, I guess. Ok, maintenant, une question pour vous. Quel pays as-tu envie de visiter? So here we've just learned a lot of different countries. So think to yourself, out of the ones that we've seen or some other ones that you know, what are some countries that you feel like or that you want to visit? Moi, j'ai envie de visiter le Japon. Et aussi, j'ai envie de visiter l'Australie. I think those are the two that I've not visited that I really want to. Ok, une autre activité. Vous allez entendre le nom d'un pays. Le pays se trouve sur quel continent ou dans quelle région? So here I'm going to read a list of countries, and each one corresponds to a group of 3 regions or continents, and you have to decide in which region or on which continent it is found. Okay, so I'll read them and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, numéro 1, le Vietnam. Numéro 2, la Russie. Numéro 3, le Canada. Numéro 4, le Brésil. Numéro 5, le Maroc. Numéro 6, le Sénégal. Numéro 7, l'Irlande. Et numéro 8, la Tunisie. Okay, let's take a look at the answers here. So, numéro 1, le Vietnam est en Asie. Numéro 2, la Russie est en Europe de l'Est. Numéro 3, le Canada est en Amérique du Nord. Numéro 4, le Brésil est en Amérique du Sud. Numéro 5, le Maroc est en Afrique du Nord. Numéro 6, le Sénégal est en Afrique de l'Ouest. Numéro 7, l'Irlande est en Europe de l'Ouest. Et la Tunisie est en Afrique du Nord. Ok, une autre activité. Vous allez entendre une série de pays. Associez le pays que vous entendez à un produit ou à une activité. So here we've got a list of products or activities, and it's up to you to associate the country that I'm reading with one of these products, people, or activities. Okay, so once again, I'll read the countries, you'll match them to an activity, and then I'll go over the answers. Okay, numéro 1, la France. Numéro 2, le Japon. Numéro 3, le Mexique. Numéro 4, l'Espagne. Numéro 5, l'Allemagne. Et numéro 6, la Suisse. Ok, numéro 1. On associe la France avec le football. So here, obviously baseball, it's more of an American thing. It probably exists in France, but not very often. Numéro 2, le Japon. On associe le Japon avec le sushi. Numéro 3, on associe le Mexique avec la tequila. Le saké, on associe avec le Japon. Numéro 4, l'Espagne. Don Quixote. This is a famous literary work from Spain. Numéro 5, l'Allemagne. On associe à Volkswagen. So that's a brand of car. L'Allemagne is Germany. Et la Suisse, on associe au chocolat. So, of course, everybody has heard of Swiss chocolate. Okay, d'où sont-ils? So here we've got a list of adjectives that are also being used as nouns to describe groups of people from specific countries. So take a moment and pause the video and try to think of the country from which these groups of people come. Okay, hopefully you've paused the video. Now let's go over the answers. Les Allemagnes viennent d'Allemagne. Les Allemandes viennent d'Allemagne. Les Anglais viennent d'Angleterre. Les Brésiliens viennent du Brésil. Les Ivoiriens viennent de Côte d'Ivoire. Les Marocains viennent du Maroc. Les Russes viennent de Russie. Les Sénégalais viennent du Sénégal. Et les Vietnamiens viennent du Vietnam. So those ones were hopefully pretty easy. Here we have another list of some common nationalities. Of course, we already know les Américains ou les Américaines. Just remember that here, whenever you see an E in parentheses, that's how we make it feminine. Whenever you see an NNE, for example, in Canadien, Canadienne, obviously Canadienne is the feminine version. Same with Tunisien, Tunisienne. But we also have some that work for both, and you don't have to distinguish between masculine and feminine. So that would be, for example, les Belges ou les Suisses. So let's move on. Qui est-ce? So, do you know who this is? C'est Gérard Depardieu. Il est français. So this is a famous actor. Maybe you've seen some of his films. He's been in a ton of films, especially some older ones back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. He's very old now, but he's very, very famous, very well known in France. So we're going to look at the difference between c'est and il est, ou elle est. So here we have some examples of sentences. We have c'est Céline Dion, elle est québécoise. Ce sont les Américains, ils sont américains. So, the general distinguishment between the two, c'est is followed by the name of a person, place, or an article, and a noun. So it's usually used to identify. So, for example, we see a person there, maybe we're pointing at them, c'est Céline Dion. So in that case, we're identifying that's her. Il or elle est is usually followed by an adjective, and this is usually used to describe. So as we see, we're describing Céline Dion's nationality when we say c'est Céline Dion, elle est québécoise. So that's generally the distinguishment. Before that, it's not super complicated, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But one thing that I do want to point out is notice that when a nationality is used as an adjective, it begins with a lowercase letter. When it's used as a noun, it is capitalized. So anytime we're talking about a group of Americans, we'll capitalize it because it's being used as a noun, but as an adjective, it's lowercase. OK. Une activité, complétez chaque phrase avec c'est ou il ou elle est et identifiez une personne de cette nationalité. So take a moment here, pause the video, and complete each of the following sentences. OK. Numéro 1. Il est américain. Par exemple, je suis américain. I know a lot of Americans. You could obviously say any American that you know. Numéro 2. C'est une Québécoise. Céline Dion est québécoise, par exemple. Il est anglais, elle est anglaise. Adèle est anglaise. Et c'est un Italien. Mahmoud est un Italien, par exemple. OK. Une autre activité. D'où est ta famille? So here, this might be very, very easy. It might be all of the same answers, but it might be different for some of you. So here, where is your family from? D'où es-tu? Est-ce que tu es américain? Ou tu es de notre pays? D'où sont tes parents? Et d'où sont tes grands-parents? Par exemple, ce sont mes grands-parents, ils sont allemands. So take a moment here, pause the video, write a response to each of the three questions, and then we'll move on. Okay, hopefully you wrote some responses. Obviously, I don't know where your family's from. I wish I could hear, but obviously you should say them out loud as if you were talking to me, so you can practice. Okay, on va jouer un jeu. So this character might look familiar with you. This is, in English, we call him Waldo. In France, they call him Charlie. So we're going to play a game of Où est Charlie? Où est Charlie? Quel continent? Il est en Amérique du Nord. Encore, où est Charlie? Quel continent? Il est en Asie. Où est Charlie? Quel pays? So what country is Charlie in? Or what country is Waldo in? Il est au Canada ou il est au Mexique? Où est Charlie? Quel pays? Il est en France et il est en Italie. So here we're looking at prepositions, and these are a little bit complicated in any language, and French is no exception. They don't really translate from language to language, so there's something that you kind of just have to learn. You just have to memorize the rules that come behind them. So for continents and countries, to say you are in or going to a country, use the preposition au with masculine countries and en with feminine countries. All names of continents are feminine except l'Antarctique. Ok, ensuite, où est Charlie? Quel pays? Il est aux États-Unis. So here, this one's a little bit different. It's also a country, but we'll use the preposition au, A-U-X, to express in or to with countries that have plural grammatical gender like les États-Unis. Ensuite, où est Charlie? Quel état? So in which state is Waldo? Il est en Floride. Il est au Nevada. So here, states and provinces follow the same rules as countries and continents. However, for these states or provinces, you can also use dans plus the definite article. That also works. So just remember that some American states have French translations, some don't. Generally, if they have a translation, it's almost, I think it always is grammatically feminine. So Floride, obviously that means Florida, but it's grammatically feminine. Nevada does not have a translation and it's grammatically masculine. Ok, ensuite, où est Charlie? Quelle ville? So which cities? Il est à Chicago et il est à Morgantown. So to express in or to a city, use the preposition à always. So no matter what, if it's a city, we'll always use à. Doesn't matter the gender because I don't think that most cities really have gender. But à will always be used with a city. To express from a city, you'll use the preposition de. Ok, une activité. Des étudiants parlent de leur projet de vacances, so their vacation plans. Utilisez les prépositions pour déterminer où va chaque étudiant ou étudiante. So here, take a moment and pause the video and choose the correct, the correct city or state or country based on the preposition. Okay, hopefully you've completed the activity. Numéro 1, je vais au Maroc. Je prends des cours en Italie. Nous allons à New York. Nous allons à Montréal. Je vais au Texas. Je prends mes vacances en Tunisie. Mon ami va en Suisse. Et nous allons au Vietnam. Okay, so we're back to Gérard Depardieu. C'est Gérard Depardieu. D'où est-il? Il est français ou on peut dire il vient de France. So here we're using yet another important verb. This one means to come. And basically it's an irregular verb, so you can see the conjugations here on the right side of your screen. So let's take a moment here and practice pronunciation. So repeat after me. Je viens. Tu viens. Il vient. Nous venons. Vous venez. Ils viennent. So here we have some examples. Obviously, anything that's not underlined right now is very irregular. The ones underlined, they are, I guess, technically less irregular, but we have kind of a stem change here in all of the singular pronouns as well as the third person plural. So rather than VEN, we have VIEN. And venir is often followed by a preposition meaning from, so to come from. Here we have some examples of these prepositions using de, but we also have some combinations. So we've seen this before with the preposition a. This kind of works the same with de. So when we have de plus le, so grammatically masculine, we'll use du. De plus la, we'll just simply use de. De plus L apostrophe becomes D apostrophe. And de plus les, so grammatically plural, it will be des. Ok, again, on a une activité. Le directeur d'une auberge de jeunesse vous présente ses clientes. Utilisez les prépositions pour déterminer d'où vient chaque personne. So once again, take a moment, pause the video, and decide where each person comes from. Ok, voici Anna. Elle vient du Japon. Nicoletta vient de Roumanie. Laura vient des États-Unis. Bernard vient d'Allemagne. Gabriel et Caroline viennent de Californie. Et je vous présente Ava. Elle vient de Montréal. Ok, autre activité. D'où vient chaque de ces personnes? So here, once again, we're going to match the nationality with the person. You might have to use a process of elimination with maybe one or two of these if you're not familiar. But let's take a moment here, pause the video, and do the activity. Okay. Heidi Klum vient d'Allemagne. Léopold Sédar Senghor vient du Sénégal. Marie-Antoinette vient de France. Roger Federer vient de Suisse. Et Frida Kahlo vient du Mexique. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at another use for the verb venir. And we're going to be talking about the recent past. So, on va imaginer maintenant, right now, je suis en cours. Je vais faire mes devoirs après le cours. So here we can see a timeline. So when we say je vais faire mes devoirs, Ça, c'est à l'avenir. This is in the future. So we use the verb aller to talk about things that happen or that will happen in the future. Je viens de faire mes devoirs avant le cours. If we use the verb venir plus, venir de plus the infinitive, it means that we did something right before, or it means we just did something. So here you can see we have the verb aller, which can be associated with things in the future, the verb venir, which can be then associated with things in the recent past. So here are some examples of how to use it. Elle vient d'arriver en cours. This means she just arrived in class. Nous venons de manger ensemble. We just ate together. Et tu viens de passer l'examen. Oh, sorry, tu viens de passer l'examen. Did you just take the test? Ok, une activité. Indiquez si chaque activité se passe maintenant ou vient de se passer à l'instant. So here we're deciding did something happen in the past, au passé, or is it happening right now, maintenant? Ok, numéro 1. Il vient de manger un hot dog. Ça se passe au passé. So he just ate a hot dog. Numéro 2. Il parle avec le serveur. So here we have a verb that's conjugated in the present tense. It means it's happening right now. He's talking with the server. Numéro 3. Il lit le journal, la gazette. Il lit means he is reading right now. He's reading the newspaper. Et numéro 4. Il vient de lire un texto intéressant. So he just read an interesting text. Okay, this is the last piece of information we're going to look at. Here we've got other verbs that also are irregular, that conjugate the same as venir. So you can see venir is sort of the stem. We have revenir, to come back, et devenir, to become. So once again, they're conjugated the exact same. We're just adding either re or de. So repeat after me for some pronunciation practice. Je reviens. Tu reviens. Il revient. Nous revenons. Vous revenez. Ils reviennent. And for devenir, je deviens. Tu deviens. Il devient. Nous devenons. Vous devenez. Ils deviennent. Ok, c'est la dernière activité. Dans un monde idéal, tout le monde a des qualités. So here we're imagining an ideal world. So in an ideal world, everybody would have certain qualities. So we're going to use the verb devenir for describing what those qualities should be. So here we have an example. Les gens stupides deviennent intelligents. Une femme méchante devient gentille. So stupid people become intelligent. A mean woman becomes nice. So for you, this is kind of also up to you, up to your opinion, what you think an ideal world would be. But I'll take a second here and write some sentences that follow this model using the verb devenir. So again, these can be um, a lot of different examples. So it's up to you. I'll give you some examples of possible answers. Um, un étudiant paresseux devient engagé. So a lazy student becomes engaged. Um, un, euh, un étudiante timide devient euh, personable. So a shy student becomes personable. So again, these are up to you. I'm not going to take too much time, but this is just to practice using the verb devenir. Okay, aujourd'hui, le cours est terminé. So here we're done. Since this course focused kind of on some travel and some different geographic vocabulary, I'll leave you with this final way of saying goodbye. You may have heard it before. It means bon voyage. So have good travels. Enjoy your vacation, basically. But now it's time for you to head to eCampus to work on the discussion boards as well as MindTap homework. As always, please let me know if you have any questions. Au revoir, bon voyage.